Namaste. My name is Kirti, and on behalf of Himalayan Yoga Association, I welcome you all to this online teacher training course. I am a teacher here at Himalayan Yoga Association, and I will be taking you through the concepts and details of the human body and yoga altogether. Let's hope you enjoy this course. Let's start.
Namaste and welcome back to the online yoga teacher training course. In today's video, we are going to discuss the principles of meditating on your body or your breath or both at the same time. But before we go into do that, we are going to chant the Gayatri Mantra, how we always do before the beginning of every session. So simply sit straight wherever you are, however you are. Straighten your spine completely. Roll your shoulders to bring them in line with the spine and tilt your head backward so that it's in complete symphony and the entire spine is long and erect. Close your eyes in the end and bring your attention to the breath for a few moments. This is the topic of our video as well. Try and analyze the effect of focusing on your breath for a few moments. चल कोई नहीं ऐसे हो जाएगा. Maintain undivided attention on your breath, and after calming your mind and your senses, you can slowly bring your hands in front of your chest in Namaskara Sthiti. Touch the heart center with the back of your thumbs. Keep the spine straight and the eyes closed. If you know the mantra, you can chant it with me. Otherwise, you can always repeat it afterwards. Breathe in before you start. Om Bhur Bhuva Swaha Tat Savitur Varenyam Bhargo Devasya Dhimahi Dhiyo Yo Nah Prachodayat. Having absorbed the vibration and effect of the mantra, let's generate some energy between our palms by rubbing our hands against each other. Now you can place your hands on your eyes, cover them with your palms, massage your face, back of your neck, and anywhere else you wish to transfer this energy to. Once again, fold your palms, bow down to your fingertips, and with a few blinks, open your eyes and welcome back. So, we have discussed so many different types of meditations here. I'm sure if you are a meditator yourself, you must be aware of so many different meditations. Some meditations do not even require you to sit still. For instance, there is this Buddhist walking meditation which involves a lot of movement, and that movement, the sensations of that movement in itself become the focus of the meditation. So meditation can be done in many ways. Ideally, in order for you to awaken spiritually, it is suggested in the yogic scriptures that you sit straight and sit still with your spine completely straight. In some meditation techniques, you are also required to lay down on your back. For example, we have the Yoga Nidra, in which you are required to lay down on the back completely straight and unanimated in a way. There are many other meditations like that. But what is meditating on body and breath all about? Why is everything coming down and boiling down to these two aspects, the body and the breath? Let's talk about the breath first. Well, in the very beginning of the meditation sessions, I told you about how anything can be an act of meditation. It could be something as simple as listening to music, something as simple as listening to a river flowing in front of you, or it could be the sound of the rain. Anything and everything can be an act of meditation. Granted, it's consistent and it's not overwhelming to your senses. On similar lines, if we talk about, let's take the example of something as simple as listening to your favorite music as an act of meditation. You have a certain playlist which goes on for a few hours, in which includes maybe 100 songs, something like that. And all of them are the songs which immerse, which consume your attention, which consume your awareness, and you somehow separate yourself from the real world and get lost in the music, in the melody, as well as the lyrics of those songs particularly. But what happens when that song ends? What happens when each one of those songs ends? Does it not shake you up from your meditation? Of course, it cannot be a long list. If it's a playlist which has multiple songs in it, after every song ends and before every song begins, there has to be a second or a couple of seconds which will definitely break that meditation that you are experiencing while listening to that music. What I'm trying to say is that even though this whole thing is applicable on your favorite music, for example, but at the same time, the inconsistency between these tracks, the gap, the empty space between these different songs that you are listening to simultaneously, one at a time, is something which breaks the meditation, which tells you that the meditation aspect requires you to focus on something which is consistent in its rhythm, which is consistent in its nature as it is. And what could that object be better than the breath itself? The breath, there are many ideal things. The ancient sages, the creators of yoga, whoever designed all of these different techniques, they must have put in a lot of time, thought and effort into researching why the breath and the body are the ideal instruments of meditation. Just realize this, the breath in itself is something which stays with you throughout your life. You can live without water for a few hours, maybe days. You can live without food for a few days. You can live without socializing for years, for depending on however you are. You can live without everything and anything for a lengthened amount of time, at least till you die or you give up from this physical body. But you cannot live without your breath for more than a few tens of seconds. Maybe some people, they can stop their breath for like 1 minute, 30 seconds. Some people, I don't remember if I could be wrong, but I heard someone who has achieved this, this perfection in terms of the potential of your breath by being able to stop their breath for 6 minutes non-stop. That is crazy, of course. I'm not saying it's impossible, but then again, that is another effect of the yogic techniques. At the end of the day, these yogic techniques have been designed to enhance the physical body as it is, to exceed the limits of this physical body. And this is what we do. Coming back to the topic, without your breath, you cannot stay alive. Your breath is something which has been there ever since you were born. It is here right now and it will be there in the future as long as you're alive. The moment you die, you run out of everything. Everything in your body goes away. The breath, the water, the solid, the air, whatever you want to call it, whatever makes up your physical body will move out, but the breath will remain with you as long as you're there. So why not follow the rhythm of this breath? Why not listen to the rhythm of this breathly music and make it as a focus of meditation? Because it is not chaotic in any way. It is not alarming in any way. it does not have the power to take your attention or to shock you in any situation anytime you're trying to meditate on your breath. The breath is truly the only consistent companion that you're going to live with, something that will never leave you alone, whether you're awake, whether you're unconscious, or whether you're sleeping. The breath remains the ultimate friend, the ultimate focus of meditation, and the ancient sages understood that very well. That's why they made and they designed all of these meditation techniques, whatever there are according to the yogic scriptures, around the principles of breath. In fact, the most traditional way of meditating as per yogic principles and yogic science is just to focus on the breath itself, to go inwards instead of focusing on the outer body things. Like I said, music in a way is utilizing the senses of your hearing. A visual thing, anything which requires you to hear, smell, see, taste to become the focus is utilizing the physical senses. The moment you're utilizing the physical senses, it becomes against the principles of the fifth limb of yoga, which is pratyahar, which requires you to withdraw from your senses in a way. So, after accomplishing stage 5 of the 8 limbs of yoga, you withdraw from your senses and you can still remain focused on the breath itself, which is something which is coming from inside and something which is coming from outside in a way. Of course, you breathe from the environment, but you can still listen to the rhythm of your breath. You can still feel the warmth of your breath. You can still feel or sense the presence of air inside your body without being involved with the outside world at all. The ideal instrument remains the breath itself. Another important reason to focus on the breath while meditating is that the breath is sort of like a monitor, if I may say. It's an instrument through which you can analyze the state of mind. The instrument through which you can analyze the state of mind. The breath, if it's chaotic, then chances are that mentally you are extremely stressed. If the breath is too runny, if you're running out of breath, then chances are that the physical organs inside your body, that means after a very long and fast sprint, you end up feeling breathless. That's because the heart is working too hard. That means there is a sort of imbalance in the functioning of the human body. And that is what the breath signifies. If you are angry, aggressive, hyperactive, hypertensive, then there are chances that it is going to reflect in your breath as well. And that is why people tell you to count till 10 before you take any actions anytime you're angry, because by the time you reach the 10th count, your breath will calm down and you would be able to get rid of the object of focus which initiated this feeling of aggression in the first place, and still neutralize your senses, neutralize yourself, neutralize the activity of the mind by simply focusing on your breath. So that is where the reference, take a sigh of relief, comes from, because the breath has the power to control the mind. The activity of the mind will reflect in the breath. Similarly, the activity of the breath is going to reflect in the mind. If you're in a habit of taking chaotic, quick, sudden, non-rhythmic breaths, then chances are that you are mostly suffering from problems associated with the mind. In order for you to take control of the mind, you need to take control of the breath, and that is the reason why pranayam comes at stage 4, 2 steps before you sit down to meditate according to the 8 limbs of yoga. Another very important reason why you should stay consistently focused on your breath is that it happens on its own. It's just like I said, it is going to be there even after you fall asleep or even if you're unconscious. It will continue happening on its own. You do not need to remember to breathe in order to stay alive. The breath is still going to happen. In fact, if you had to remember to breathe, then given the chaos, the stressful environment that we have created around us, I'm sure we would probably forget to breathe and probably die because of that. So, breath remains the ultimate tool, ultimate instrument of focus, and that is why it is, if you do not have the habit of being able to focus on your breath, then you should practice meditating on the breath as well. Just like how the breath is always existing in the present moment, similarly the physical body is also a reflection of what your mind is experiencing at that time. Certain people, when they are hyperactive, hypertensive, they start feeling shakiness in their physical body. Their heart starts working too fast. Some people get heart attacks because of this extreme stress, strokes, so many problems associated with the mind which are reflected on the physical body itself. And that is why the breath as well as the physical body, when they are still, they have the power to calm your mind down. As long as you're moving, you cannot make anything, you cannot really make your mind focus on a certain object. When you're walking, you need to focus on the steps you're taking, because if you take an incorrect step, or if the road that you're walking on, the path that you're walking on is uneven, then you might even end up falling down. Which is why it's important to pay attention on the path. When you're dancing, when you're jumping, when you're running, when you're swimming, when you're doing anything with this physical body, your focus shifts to something else. On similar lines, anytime you're sitting still, then the mind has one less thing to worry about. That means the activity of the physical body in itself. In the ancient times, according to the folklores of the Buddhist folklore, the Buddhist story, Lord Buddha, when he used to meditate, he meditated under a tree, and according to the story of his enlightenment, he was meditating under a tree. Of course, he used to meditate for many, many years before he reached his enlightenment, but the very last time that he sat down to meditate was a continuous stage of 7 days when he did not move a single muscle. According to yogic philosophy, you need to treat your body like a rock, something which doesn't move, something which does not create any animated activity. The moment you take your focus away from this physical body, you can bring your attention to the inner self, which does not really talk about this physical body as a whole. So, while moving the physical body, you are also transporting energy. You are obviously using energy to make movements happen, and by preserving an unanimated state, you are preserving the energy which can be utilized to reach higher conscience in itself. So it is said that anytime you're trying to meditate, treat your body, think of your body, imagine yourself to be like a rock, so that there is no disturbance in the energy creation. At the same time, the mind does not have more objects to focus on. It already has so much. But what about the sensations that we experience if the body is too tired? Well, in that case, you need to practice, and practice. Practice asanas, practice pranayam, practice asanas so that you can develop more strength in the physical body, so that it does not become an object of your attention, and it allows you to sit effortlessly. Practice pranayam so that you can take control of the breath, as well as you are able to take better control of the mind by simply controlling your breath. Once these two aspects have been there and have been consistently practiced, I am pretty sure it's not going to be difficult for you to meditate on your body or your breath. These are the very basic rules that we need to follow. Of course, there are so many meditations that we discussed before this that haven't been discussed by us in these sessions. But the base, the core, the base of all meditations, the easiest yet the most effective type of meditation is when you sit calmly, quietly, with a still body and a steady rhythmic breath. I hope you found this video informative. I will see you again with something else to tell you about meditations. But until then, I will take a leave. Thank you and Namaste.